Live from the East Lansing Underground. This is 88.9 bringing you the basement. Not quite. We have a very special show for you guys tonight. If you've ever stuck around after our 8 to 10 slot on Thursdays, you might have heard another special show, which is called The Hourz. It's a hardcore show, and it plays directly after us. And we're actually collaborating with the host, Nick Sanchez, tonight, to bring you a extra long superset. So tonight we've got 2 bands in-house for you, and we're going to be rolling straight through our slot into the next one, and we're going to have a long night of awesome music for you. So, I'm your host, Liv.
I'm Griffin.
And I am Nick Sanchez, otherwise known as DJ Brick, or maybe Garf, depending on who you are, host of the Hours of Power.
So, first band we've got in tonight is called Self-Absorbed. Could you all take a second to introduce yourselves?
My name is D Vicious. I'm on vocals and guitar.
I'm Patrick. I'm Pat Absorbed. I play drums and sing.
I'm Hayden. I do live guitar with him, sometimes bass, but today we have Sean.
I'm Sean, and I'm playing bass.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much. If y'all want to roll right into the first song.
All right. Well, we're Self-Absorbed from Lansing. If you know us, you're going to know this first song. But if you don't, there's really just one thing that I need you to remember about me and my band. And it's that I'm doing everything you said you never could. You call me self-absorbed and feel so good! Living in your head, which you thought I said, but to reality makes it like one for me. I never wanted hate, but it's too late. You built a bridge between us because you're jealous. I'm doing everything you said you never could. You call me self-absorbed. It feels so good. That's what I do! On me, just keep protected! Take a look in the mirror, it's all reflected! Your idea of me, I'll stay rejected! Run your mouth again! Excuses never end! Snake shedding skin, pathetic, worthless! Eternal like I'm through, can't help it, what can I do? Take my attitude, got no respect for you. I'm doing everything you said you never could. You got me self-absorbed. It feels so good.
Wow, that was awesome. D, you really pulled me in.
Oh, thank you.
Sorry, I need to take my earbuds out for that one. No, that was awesome. This is I'm really excited for the rest of the show. But first and foremost, who is Self-Absorbed? Like the band.
Self-absorbed is me, Dee, and Patrick.
Okay.
We started just us two, just trying to make some music, and that's how we found these dudes to play with us live. Me and Patrick do all the writing, so basically him and I are self-absorbed. And then we have our friends who are able to play with us play. So we have even a couple other members that play with us as well, like Anthony from Desadent drums with us sometimes.
A lot of love.
Yeah, so.
Awesome. On a scale of 1 to 10, how self-absorbed are you?
11.
11.
You got to be
100.
self-absorbed. If you don't love yourself, who else will?
There you
Sick.
go.
No, where are you from?
Lansing. I'm from Lansing.
Beast Lansing. I'm from Arkansas originally, but I moved here.
Arkansas?
Yeah.
Well, so what brings you up to Michigan?
Vicious. But also, you know, we've been together for a minute, but we went here. I went to LCC for like a minute and then learned a little bit about recording, and then it just blossomed into what we have now. Really, I don't really have any plans of leaving because of the friends that we've met and the scene that we've found. It's just like, it's really home to me and all of us here.
Sick. And while the cameras are still rolling, I'm obsessed with the guitars. Can you please tell us a little bit about them, where you got them? It reminds me of like something a cartoon character would hold, like maybe like Duncan from Total Drama Island or something.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, Duncan.
I don't know.
you
like,
just excavated that from the
where did
depths
you
of
get
my
these?
mind.
So I'm playing a Gibson Gothic Explorer, which is a cool like edition of Gibson. It's actually a guitar from 2001, so it's
Oh.
almost as old as I am, which is cool.
Same age as me.
Yeah, nice. But I use an Explorer because of James Hetfield from Metallica and because of Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm. They both play the same shape and Gibson brand, so I take a lot of inspiration from them. And I got this used. I get almost all my stuff used because that's the cheaper way to go.
Exactly.
I got this probably like 4 years ago or something. It's a Jackson Kelly. I think it might be somebody's signature guitar, but I don't know whose. I'm not really big into like the specs and details, but I just saw it at like a local shop near me, and I was like, I never see Jacksons that are like wood grain and have like gold on them, and I was just vibing with it. I picked it up, and so I bought it.
Yeah, looks like you really hurt someone with it.
Yeah,
I hurt my head on the back of it real
Yeah,
quick. I was
yeah.
like, can't headbang as much as usual.
gotta watch out.
Do the instruments in-house tonight have names? No,
Yeah,
what's
be-
your philosophy on naming instruments? Yay, nay?
I have a lot of pets, so all my pets have names, not my instruments.
I named my car,
Okay.
maybe not my instruments.
What's the name of your car?
Cheryl.
Why?
Sure.
Kind of gives that vibe. It's a Dodge Journey. It looks like it has a couple kids, you know, like taking to soccer practice kind of vibe.
Dependable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, Cheryl sounds like she'd do you right, you know?
You take good care of Cheryl.
No. I get my oil changes, but I need like my brakes done bad.
You just got her fixed up, though.
She always breaking down.
Is Cheryl out in the parking lot right now?
Yep.
Can't wait to see her tonight.
All right, well, would you guys like to take us into the next song? I'm really excited to keep hearing about all of these influences you have, and especially the Lansing scene. That's one of the big polls that I got excited for looking into you guys, because we have such an incredible scene. Of course, that's always what we want to talk about on this show. And you've actually had the opportunity to play a lot of sets with the other band we have in-house tonight.
Oh, yeah, they're the homies.
Yeah.
We love to say it.
Well, this next song is about keeping your hands off of other people that don't consent to it. You know, my name is D Vicious, and I didn't ask.
Nothing's ever free. Your compliments are cheap. I ain't no sucker to be a mother lover. God, be a man and put your hand back on your again. I don't want that. Already you've been in my vicinity, so get away from me. God, be a man. The thing I did said I had for it. No lie, son of a bitch. You really a joke. I didn't ask.
Absolute ripper, guys. Good job. I mean, as
Thank
always.
you.
I've seen you guys a handful of times now. It's no surprise. My favorite thing about that song and basically all of your songs is you have these really interesting influences. Like I heard this basically in like an all-out war riff in that song, or that type of riff, and that got me thinking, what got you guys into heavy music? Because very few people are just kind of out the womb listening to Metallica and this crazy stuff. Everyone kind of has a journey, like how they discover it. There's one thing, and I want to know what each of your guys' thing was that sort of brought you down this rabbit hole.
For me, it was kind of my dad. Like, he had dabbled in it before, but he was playing stuff like Guns N' Roses, Poison, and I was just really like that as a kid. And so as I got older, when I was like 13 or 14, I found Guitar Hero. And that was kind of my segue into finding all of the bands, because I really liked Metallica. I heard it in a movie, and then from that, I got on Guitar Hero, and then it just kind of went from there.
Do you remember what the movie was?
Zombieland.
Yeah, I've always kind of like been into music, much like everyone else here. But like my first interest into like the heavier stuff was like my brother used to listen to like Korn, System of a Down, stuff like that. I really vibed with System of a Down when he showed it to me, and then the old school punk Green Day type stuff from the 90s I really bonded with too. And then my cousin, we formed a band together back in high school, and then we were playing like Nirvana covers and stuff like that. And then not until I met Dee was when I got more into the metal stuff. Like she showed me Municipal Waste and is like that crossover of punk and thrash that I was Power Trip that I was looking for. And then ever since then I've just been hooked.
I'm pretty much like these two. Like, my dad would listen to, like, Metallica and grunge and whatnot growing up, and, like, we heard a lot of new metal in the house. But then I also found Guitar Hero 3, and I played that a lot. I played at the point where I'm like, I should just learn guitar. Like, I'm getting so good at this, let's just actually do something. So I started learning Metallica songs, and I started just, like, liking riffs. I really liked riffs, and then that just got me down, like, a rabbit hole of, like, death metal, and that's where I kind of came into the heavier stuff.
Who knew Guitar Hero would be a gateway drug for so many people?
It's
I mean,
the right generation.
The more people I talk in like the hardcore scene, it's like, oh, we all kind of found it through music, video games.
Mhm.
I'm going to carry on a theme with parents and Guitar Hero. Yeah, my mom and like listen to like Korn, like Tool, Nine Inch Nails, my dad, Metallica, Alice in Chains, all that stuff. Like Chevelle was a really big band I was into growing up. Stepdad listened to that. And then just through the years kind of discovered my own music, got into like doom metal really big, and then about like right around COVID found hardcore, and that's kind of been in that real big ever since.
Yeah, so most of our listeners maybe aren't specifically that versed in hardcore and metal and all of these genres that like everyone in this room is influenced by. So that's why I'm super grateful to have Nick here with us tonight. I'm going to steal your words from before the show when we were talking about You referred to yourself as like our ambassador for the genre. So everything we hear, like, please hit us up, talk to us about like where these things come from, what the influences are, the significance, and what's so like incredible about them to your musical taste. Because obviously we got a lot of talent, we got a lot of passion, and it's an honor to not only be able to like hear it firsthand from y'all, but to like get the interpretation.
Well, geez, where to start? You just named metal and hardcore too. Similar but distinct things, and we'd be here for hours if I tried to explain the history of both. But I guess the basic tenet of hardcore is that it comes from punk, and it's about an ethos more than a sound. Because I would probably consider Self-Absorbed a hardcore band as much as a thrash band, because it's not really about what you guys do; it's about how you guys do it. And from what I've seen, it's 100% DIY, which is the most admirable thing I think a person can do in music, because music is so often it is becoming commercial, and you're hearing these really cool bands in a Taco Bell commercial or in this commercial, and it's becoming very money driven, and the more DIY it stays, I think is pretty special.
Yeah, well, it's just like doing it for the love of it, you know, and just like we wouldn't be here in this room if we hadn't met Sean or Hayden or any of our friends that we've met through the scene. Like, Dee and I have been going to metal shows since like 2016 together. She had been going to them longer, but we didn't start going to like hardcore shows until like people started introducing us to local bands, or like the hardcore bands that we did want to see weren't touring bands, and they would only play like one-off shows. But like Hayden introduced us to a lot of his friends who were also in bands. So that's kind of how we just got trickled into like the local Michigan scene, was just meeting people and just finding common ground with whatever you like, whether it be metal or hardcore. You'll find someone who is going to share those interests, and it's a passion, you know. It's not just something that they feel like they want to do to be, you know, cool or whatever, or to make money.
Oh, I'm sorry, Liv. Oh, within the world of metal, this is all very new to me, and that's why I'm very appreciative of this performance, and I think this is super cool. But for Self-Absorbed, I know there's, well, just in general, there are so many subgenres within metal. I was just looking into it today, and how many do you think there are, Nick?
How much time you got? The answer's a lot.
Yeah, so I want to know from you guys, what subgenre do you fall under in the world of metal? I know someone mentioned death metal. Can you please define that? Can you tell me what is your sound and what subgenre you guys fall under?
Sound is always pretty subjective. I think each person kind of decides when they listen to our music what genre they think it is. For me, what I am putting out there, I like to call hot girl thrashcore.
Oh.
The thrash is just, you know, classic thrash metal. We're super influenced by thrash bands like Slayer, Testament, Exodus, like old school. Of course, Metallica, I started on them. And then the core comes from hardcore, which a lot of our values and our morals are hardcore based. And yeah, we're super DIY about everything. And we try to throw in the mosh parts, the hardcore dancing parts. We love our two steps, a side to side, just classic mosh calls. We definitely write that into our music. So, yeah, and then the hot girl part comes from me and, you know, my bandmates. Super hot and sexy.
We're all hotties and self-absorbed.
I love that.
Exactly. We're all baddies.
So with all of this stuff, can you tell us about where you have found your home in Lansing and in East Lansing? Because like you said, there are a bunch of other bands in the area, and it's just, from what I've gotten to see, an incredible and tight-knit and super supportive community.
Yeah, I would say it definitely started with the Goblin Zone in here in Lansing. Last May was the first show we ever played and it was at the Goblin Zone. Coming up May 13th, which would be the 1-year anniversary. But the person who runs that venue, they just reached out to us, but we had never played any shows. We were just barely posting on social media and stuff. Had a couple videos out there of like me just playing through our songs, and they actually offered us a show, and we were like, yeah, why not? We just kind of said yes without thinking, and then we were like, we'll find other members to play with, you know, later, because it was a couple months before. So we just really wanted to play a show, and they offered it to us, and it ended up being like still to date one of the best shows because we met a lot of friends there that we still are close to this day, and that opportunity that the Goblin Zone gave us, you know, showed us to so many new people, and I would say that's a really good home of Lansing, to be honest. Like, there you're always going to feel like you belong, and there's always going to be something for everyone. And that's really what inspired our hardcore collective group, too. That, you know, it's called the Mid-Michigan Hardcore Collective, and it's just a group of us kids, you know, like, that are like-minded, and we like to get together and talk about shows and music and support each other's endeavors, artwork, and just try to lift people up. So with house venues like the Goblin Zone or Displaced Manor or Monty House, East Lansing co-op houses,
The Jolly Llama, brand new.
Llama, there's a lot going on for DIY and up-and-coming bands. So I would say, like, Lansing is kind of the home of opportunity right now, which feels really good because it hasn't been in a while, I feel like.
Can I ask you, out of all the places in the country, where is the place to be for a metal artist?
It
Or
could
for
really
a grunge artist? Or
for like, I mean, really, you just gotta like dig and just find, because we're really happy with where we're at with the community that we found and built. Sure, there's a lot of places like, you know, the coast, the East Coast, the West Coast, Florida. There's always going to be places that are like, you know, popular and just like densely populated people who want things to do. So like, we didn't even know that this was in our backyard. So really the best place is honestly where you make it. Like to me, I don't feel like there's like a best place for like this type of music, but it's just, I think it's like the people that you surround yourself with.
Ohio. They
There we go.
surprisingly have like a lot of hardcore punk and metal like going off right now. They're like, yeah.
You know, that is
Oh.
not the first time I've heard that, and it doesn't completely surprise me. Like, they got to find something to do in Ohio,
So true.
and that's what it is.
Ohio and Michigan, both of like neighboring states, but there's a lot of crossover between too. There's a bunch of Ohio bands that we're homies with, and vice versa. So,
Midwest is the best, baby.
hey.
awesome.
So can I ask about, like, before you found this community, you guys obviously started making music just of your own volition. That's something that you decided to do on your own. And if we're taking a moment to speak to any listeners who are out there who are maybe just playing in their bedroom right now and they want to do something with it, what was that like for you getting started and making that move to be like, okay, I can play the music of all these bands I admire so much, or I can make something that's mine and I can say what I want that is mine to say?
That's a really good question, honestly. Like, I started getting back into guitar by just playing covers of songs that I really liked and, like, learning new songs and just bettering my guitar playing. And from that, it was pretty much Hayden that we kept seeing him at shows, and then he kept saying, "Are you in a band yet? Did you guys write anything yet? Are you doing anything yet?" And we were like, you know what? Why not? Like, we should at least just try. And we put out our demo of 4 songs, and like, it went over well. People really liked it, and they were complimenting us on it, and it just kind of came out of nowhere. So if there was any words I could say to somebody sitting in their room contemplating if they maybe want to write something, say just get it out on paper, get it out in your voice memos, get it out in your notes app, and just see where it goes, and also share it with somebody, because somebody else's perspective or view or input can make a world of difference.
Yeah, peer pressure is great.
Well, I was thinking more creative input, but
Hayden, it sounds like your journey was a little bit different. What about you?
What do you mean?
Like, with how you got into music.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I just like started playing guitar, and I'd like write my own stuff like really early into, I've been playing for probably 8 years, maybe 9 coming up in May. So I've been playing for a while and just like writing stuff, and I didn't have a band during high school. I tried, it just never worked. And then like right after high school, I met some guys that wanted to do like Actually, this guy, he wanted to do Alice in Chains covers and like grunge covers. And so we started doing that, and then we eventually like made our own music, and we started to become a lot heavier than grunge. We're like doing more like death metal, thrash metal, kind of harder stuff. And that was my first band. We were called 10,000 Teeth. They're still active. I left later last year, like in December, but they're still going on, and I was in that band for probably like 4 to 3 years, but that's where I started.
Sean, you're in the Gridiron Crew Neck. I imagine you have some hardcore things to say.
Oh yeah. Just like how I got into playing instruments and stuff. Kind of, like.
Yeah.
Yeah. I actually used to. How I got into playing was kind of funny. I used to push carts at fire, and my coworkers that I became friends with all like played guitar, drums, everything. And they kept trying to like, you should like try to play something or whatever. So picked up bass and just watched YouTube videos. And eventually, like a couple years later, joined this old band called Harper, an indie band. Back before COVID, and then that ended up. I was in that band until like a little after COVID started. That band broke up, and then I joined Dear Heretic, which I'm still in today.
Shout out Dear Heretic.
Shout out DH.
And later, through playing in Dear Heretic is that's how they found me. They we played a show with them. And I also later joined Fame, same way. They saw me playing in Dear Heretic, so I'm in 3 bands.
Sean's a hot commodity.
Yeah, he's too good.
Everyone wants this guy.
Right?
Now, Pat, I have the same question for you, but I also want to preface it because people out there listening might not know that you can kind of do everything. I have seen you play drums for Self-Absorbed. I have seen you play guitar for Self-Absorbed. And they are not incredibly easy songs to play.
Thank you.
So how'd it happen? How did you get so good at everything?
Well, I've always liked guitar. I've always been a fan of guitar music. Like I mentioned before, my brother is kind of like my inspiration for who I wanted to be up until I was 12 or so. Because he tried to play guitar, but just showed me chords and stuff, but I was the one who ran with it. And then, I got together with my friends. My cousin, he drummed for my old high school band. We were called Starman Jr. And we were like a grunge alt type band. I played guitar in that band. And then I would secretly play on his drum set because practice was at my house. So I would play his drums and kind of get better at those because I had also just I've always wanted to play drums, but I had never known anyone with a drum set, let alone could play one. So, and also being in high school band too, I was a snare drummer. So just really just all those things coming together, just my love for music never really went away. And then with Self-Absorbed, I just kind of was the drummer out of necessity, even though, we collaboratively write guitar and drum parts together. It's just, I've always wanted to play guitar live. So having Anthony from Descendant to be able to fill that role for us, he's crazy good at drums. So it allows me to, be able to play guitar like I've always wanted to. So this is really fun being able to swap spots and also just play with different people. You never know what vibe you're going to get.
As a former band kid myself, I can absolutely confirm that the band kid to hardcore kid pipeline is incredibly real.
It exists.
It really sounds like, with everyone's stories, you start out being a fan, and that's how you get here. And I've seen you in a pit, Pat. You're scary. But I gotta ask, do you prefer being on stage or do you prefer being in the crowd?
In the crowd, 100%.
Yeah, honestly, I have going to a show is just such a fun experience, and when you're playing a show, it's
You're on the job.
Yeah, you're on the job. You have to watch your merch. You gotta take care of your gear, and then it's just.
Well, you have to take care of your body.
Yeah,
when
that
you're
too.
moshing or you're in the crowd, you gotta drink water and you gotta be prepared. But when you're on stage, you have to well, for me, maybe other people, you have to make sure you eat the right thing, the right amount of time before, and you can't really drink or do any other stuff before the set, because then you get a little off. And yeah, being in the crowd, you just let loose, and that's what I like.
Yeah, for one of your shows, I saw on the flyer it said, no push pits, no bullshit, crowd killing, and hard moshing only. Have you witnessed any injuries or while you're performing, or like while you have watched a performance?
Definitely while I've watched other bands. Not during our band yet, but I did hear that our last show in Grand Rapids, we opened for the band Snuffed on Sight and 200 Stab Wounds, so it was a pretty like heavy show. And I heard that during our set, a few people got hurt, but I didn't personally see it.
And like what ways? Like they fall over and people just keep going?
A lot of like hardcore moshing or hardcore dancing involves swinging your arms.
Okay.
Usually with a closed fist.
Okay.
And that fist may
catch some teeth.
Yeah, it may make contact with somebody else's body.
Okay.
For the most part, people in the Michigan hardcore scene are kind of doing their own moves, and then if you get hit, it's like, an accident or like it just happens. But the crowd killing kind of thing, there are just certain shows that's cool at, like if you're a crowd killer, you gotta pick and choose and know when to do it, when it's okay.
Define crowd killing.
Does anybody else want to?
Sorry,
Yeah.
this is a new world to me.
Sean, inside us.
DJ Brick maybe could take this one.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
crowd
yeah.
killing for the people at home. This might all sound very scary. I should emphasize that there is some degree of violence in shows, but everyone kind of accepts the risk. There is very little bad blood in the pit, and if someone is taking cheap shots, they are expelled from the venue quickly. But crowd killing is the natural extreme end. There's very little style to it. It is if the scariest, heaviest, most frightening band ever is playing, it will be people running up to the sides of the pit and just wailing on people.
Have you been in a pit like this?
Many times. Without getting...
I have been crowd killed by Garth
Yeah.
during his own set.
You gotta do what you
style.
gotta do sometimes. Tyrant style. This kind of spirals into my next question. I won't talk too much about myself, but I've sustained some significant injuries in the pit. But I want to ask you guys, as participants in the pit that I have seen, ever gotten a tooth knocked out, bad scrape, worst thing that's happened to you in the pit?
War stories from the pit.
I at Tied Down last year during Pain Truth dove off the stage. No one caught me, and I landed right on my head. I split it right open.
Oh!
And I was just bleeding.
The
all
pictures
down my
are
head.
so gnarly.
Did
Yeah, it was a lot.
people
of
keep
fun.
going? Like you're just
Oh
like,
yeah, people kept
Yeah.
going, and I just kind of like I got up and I like was like, oh, that hit my head really hard. I felt my head, and my hand was just covered in blood. So I
did you just get up yourself and be like, oh, gotta go
Oh
to
yeah,
the bathroom?
somehow didn't get concussion from it. I just got up, so I immediately first thing I said, oh, I gotta go to the hospital.
Did you go to the hospital?
Yes. Yeah, I had to get 7
Stitches?
staples in my head.
Wow.
Yeah.
And he was back for day
Yeah, I was
2.
back day 2.
Yeah, he was.
My head all wrapped up. And I wasn't stage diving day 2, but I was still in there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I mean, the music isn't called kinda intense. The music's called hardcore, so
Right.
you accept a degree of intensity.
You're right about that. Funny enough, also for me during Pain of Truth, at the Magic Stick, I was, let's say, impaired, and I wasn't able to. Well, I was able to, but like I just wasn't playing my cards right. I wasn't paying attention. I was too close to the side of the pit. I got whaled right in the side of the head and knocked out cold.
Wow.
And luckily, Dee was there to catch me. But let's just say I sobered up real quick and learned why the side of the pit is also the pit.
Oh.
I saw a tsunami at
Tsunami?
Edgemont. Yeah, Tsunami.
What is that?
It's like a band from the Bay Area.
Oh, I thought it was
Yeah.
like a type of mosh. Sorry.
No. That would be cool though.
Yeah, that should.
But
Sorry.
it was I got kicked in the head. Like this guy was just spinning his legs, just like going off. He decided to crowd kill like my face. Luckily his foot kind of like wrapped around my head. It didn't like hit me in the eye. So I was okay, but it definitely was disorienting.
What are the rings that have like
brass
Not-
knuckles.
Like brass knuckles.
Are those allowed? Like,
No,
I think those are illegal everywhere,
I
like in
belie-
daily life.
Okay.
I believe the United States federal government made those illegal.
Or just like sharp jewelry in general, because you see like, is it iffy sometimes? Like, if someone's just throwing hands and there's like,
Usually people that are throwing hands aren't going to be wearing jewelry.
okay,
Because it falls off, it breaks.
right,
Like, for your own sake, you don't want to lose your nice jewelry.
yeah.
But for me, I've only gotten like a couple black eyes.
Only?
Which isn't very severe, I mean, in comparison. But usually it's my legs that get banged up because stage diving or being in the front row or getting pushed down or moshing in general, my legs just bruise really badly. So sometimes, that can get a little rough after the show because then you got like a 2-week healing period to heal up all the bruises. But
Sounds like fun. Let's hear the next song.
Great time.
okay.